So your husband, okay, what were his thoughts as he observed you making
Mm,
this shift? Like, what did that
he,
look like?
it's difficult for him still. It's still very difficult for him. He, you know, he works outside of the home, so I work in the home, and he doesn't see what happens all day. And partly this was me. So hey, what'd you do today? In my brain was like, okay, I got to say a million things, or he's gonna
Yeah,
say, well, that was lazy, or like that wasn't, you know what I mean? Must be
yeah,
nice. These were also things that I was putting on him, like. So was some of it coming from him? Yeah. And was some of it coming from me? Yeah. And so now I just when he says what, and he's just being conversational, like, hey, how was your day? What did you do today? There are times when I flip back into, oh, I got to say a lot of things because really, like, I took the day off, or I just had one client call and then I just screwed around
yeah.
all day because I get to, because I've created that container, and this is the place I am working on him realizing that he gets to create that container too. He's not there yet. Like he works 60 hours a week because he wants to.
Yeah.
He's driven in that way. His identity, see, here's where identity comes in. My identity knows that rest breeds productivity, and so in my identity, like, where can we find joy and ease in this? Where can we find joy and ease? I'm constantly on the lookout for joy and ease, right? How does this get to expand me, not constrict me? And he's coming along.
Yeah. Well, it's only a matter of time before one person making massive changes inspires the other person to then make. I bet that you've influenced his subconscious in ways that aren't consciously able to be seen, but also the relationship that we have with our significant other is, very different than we have with anyone else. Like, I was even talking to my wife the other day, and this happens all the time, and it's so funny when it does. But she said something, and immediately, the flaw that I have and many people have is we go into advice giving mode. Like, oh, maybe you should try doing this or this or this. And she literally looked at me and she's like, that sounds like a good idea, but because you're the one telling me to do it, I don't think I'm
Oh,
going to do it.
exactly,
And I
exactly,
was like, don't
exactly.
say no to a good thing. But she, it's all in good fun. But one person making these massive shifts, and for the person wondering, okay, well, I want my significant other to change in this way. Okay, like the intention you have, I'm assuming, is good, right? You want good for this person. But the number one way that you can help this other person make shifts that are good for them is by focusing first on you, right?
Yes,
And
yes,
making those shifts yourself. Like, you have to work on you. You can't change someone else. All you can do is work on you, and that alone influences another person.
exactly. And think about how difficult we make it to change ourselves. Now you think you're going to go change someone else? Like,
That's a good
talk
point.
about work. Ugh, that sounds terrible, right? That sounds like so laborious. There doesn't sound like there's going to be any joy or ease in that. Because think about how hard we battle ourselves for a change that we know, like, logically will benefit us, right? Like you just grabbed water. Okay, so everyone watching this has been seeing me take beverages the whole time.
Yeah.
So there's people who are like, well, I'm gonna take this down 2 rabbit trails really quick. I should drink water. That's what the science says, and this, not, and the other. And yet they like buck that continually. They continue to tell themselves, like, I hate water. I don't want it. It's hard to fit it all in. I just forget, like, winning. We're always winning the game we're playing, right? 2 things in there. One, what are the gains? Like, what would open up for you if you chose to step into the identity of a water drinker as opposed to the identity of someone who hates water? Because this is what you're doing, right? You're seeing the world through the identity of, I hate water. So, what would open up for you? Well, I'll tell you, hydration is literally the key to everything.
Yeah.
Your brain works better, your focus works better, your body, your joints. We only have the water that we put inside. Like, we don't make more water inside our body. It's only what we put in it. Coffee doesn't count. I'd love for it too, because I love coffee. Water, water for our. So if you want to be more focused, you want to look better, you want to feel better, like, you find the gain that makes you say, okay, that's for me. Like, I can figure out this water thing now. The other rabbit trail, should. You said it when you talked about your wife as well. Here's where the power in words comes in. Should is could with shame smeared on it.
Hmm.
No one wants to be told what to do. No one wants to be told, you should do this. The moment I hear these words, I'm like, shut down. I'm not listening, which is my own toxic trait, right?
Yeah.
And I don't want to hear should. I want to hear, because when we should on ourselves, like this is a very, you can see it in the female world very much. Someone who identifies as feminine is like, oh, I should do this, I should do that. I carry a lot of guilt around shoulds, right?
Mm-hmm.
When my clients start using this word, I'm like, okay, let's do a word swap here. Next time, from now on, in the future. There is no shame in any of those phrases. Should is very shame filled. And so when we say, next time, I'm going to think about it like this. From now on, I'm going to do this for myself instead. And in the future, I'm going to really consider this as a possibility. Not should. Like that feels yucky. The other one is have to and get to. This is another huge word swap. So feel the energy and the difference in should and from now on, in the future, and next time. Like
Yeah.
so much possibility in those, right? Like they're so expansive. And it's the same thing with have to and get to. I remember the first time a client said to me, well, I have to pick up my kids. And I said, well, don't you want to? They're your kids. Do you like them? Right. And she was like, well, of course. And I'm like, okay, well, then you get to. And it was
Yeah.
just this huge talk
Energy
about when
shift.
you can see something on a belief shift. All of a sudden, oh, I have choice, because this is what we all want. We all want choice. We all want possibility. We all want to know that there are options for us, whether we say that out loud or not. We want choice. We don't want to be told this is the option. I get to do this. I get to do that. When we say that, it feels like we are taking back our power in something, as opposed to giving our power away in the I have to do this.